All right, guys, I was just eating something. All right, well, hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. It's your girl, Gabrielle, and welcome to the show, you guys. So, for those of you who are new to the show, just checking my stuff. All right, for those of you who are new to this show, let me tell you what this show is about. So, this is the show where we like to talk. We like to talk real talk. We like to talk about real talk about things in mental health, things in education, physical health, social services. We like to tell people's life stories. We like to have those real discussions that we only, tell our small circle of friends. Well, we like to take those discussions and we like to put it all out in the open. But this is not your gossip show. I've said it time and time again before. This is not your gossip show. This is not the gossip hot topics. This is educational hot topics. So this is your educational programming. And today I am excited about this conversation because it is a chance to address those things that we're afraid to address. I know some of you may got some questions, but today we are going to get to that and we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of it all. So, let me tell you what the topic of this episode is. So, the topic of this episode is my teenager is self-destructive. I'm sure it's, for a lot of parents out there, it sounds like, whoa, I can relate. Well, this is the show where we're going to discuss that, and we're going to discuss ways that you can deal with that. So, my teenager is self destructive. That is the topic for today. And I have a guest with me who is going to help me out. Her name is Ann Hayes, and I can't wait to tell you about her, you guys. So, let's just get right into it. Who is Ann Hayes? Let me tell you who she is. So, Ann Hayes, who also goes by Mama G, is a #1 international best-selling author, MC, lyricist, mystic, energy master, and CVO of Kick Ass Happiness. She is also the founder of a highly customized online coaching program designed to transform troubled teens using ancient wisdom to live happy, fulfilling lives. The Kick Ass Happiness Academy utilizes a synergistic system that effectively activates each member's ability to take full charge of his or her life, and also shares inspirational messages over smooth instrumentals. With decades of experience working with teens in a variety of settings, Anne is credited with turning around so many lives, including that of her own teenage daughter. As a powerful liaison between parents, community leaders, and teens, she intends on turning around a lot more lives with her natural, passion driven, non conventional approach. Beautiful, you guys. All right, so I want to get started. I can't wait to get her on stage. So let's do it. Welcome to the stage, Anne. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. You have a wealth of history there that I just read. Um,
I love how you said to the stage. I like I like that. Sage to the
yeah,
stage. What did I say?
to the stage. Yeah. All right. So, let's get right into it. You've went through a lot, and I wanted you to share your life story and also the lessons that you learned. So let's jump right into it. So please tell us your life stories about your self-destructive teenager.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of zero in right there. I'm going to give you a little bit of background, try to keep it as succinct as I can, because there's always an origin story, there's a history. I was a self-destructive teen, and I've worked with self-destructive teens, yet it wasn't until my own daughter became a self-destructive teen that it really hit home for me as a parent. And this is what I've come to realize. If your child has been through any traumatic event, for me, it was childhood sexual abuse. For my daughter, it was a loss of a parent at a very young age. Well, it gets suppressed and it gets stuck in the body and it remains there as a trapped emotion, a trapped emotional pain. And it tends to come out, from what I've observed, when children become teens. So we're talking 13, 14, 15, 16. Usually 14 is like that tricky year right there. And that's exactly what happened to my teenage daughter, because she was good to go from like 6 to 13, 13 and a half, 14. And then all of a sudden it just fell apart. She started using marijuana. Okay, not such a big deal, right? Yet from there, it just got more and more heavy. She became deeply depressed. She developed debilitating anxiety. She would spend hours on her phone. She would sit on the couch for just hours on end. Then it went from that to sneaking out at night, skipping school. Then she started getting into drugs like Xanax, Adderall, LSD even. She was drinking alcohol, still smoking the marijuana, like almost nonstop, because she was essentially trying to numb her pain. She was sneaking boys into the house. I was a single parent because, of course, remember, the other parent had died when, in fact, that happened when she was 6 years old. And so I'm a single parent at the time trying to deal with this. And it just seemed like it just spiraled out of control no matter what I did. Now, understand, I'm a professional. Like this shouldn't happen to me, yet it does. It can happen to any parent with any teen. And I saw a pattern from my childhood to her childhood as a response to a traumatic event in her life. And so that self-destruction looked exactly like I just described. And it included 2 hospitalizations. She actually cut herself at one point. Thankfully, it was only on one wrist and it wasn't vertical. So I knew she'd be okay, but yet it was scary. And she also popped about 5 Benadryl in her mouth at one point. So I'm going to stop there because I think that's a whole load right there. Thankfully, at 19, she's doing amazingly well. In fact, she's thriving and even living on her own. Yeah, it got a little rough right there.
Yeah, it's that's a lot in that short little in that short little spiel there. All right, so you brought up you brought up a few things that, I think you said around her like 9 to 12, 9 to 13, things were going pretty well for a teenager, right? And I think you mentioned a key factor, which is that your partner died, and that your daughter's experienced a loss, right? And I think that's pretty common in with teenagers, like when they lose a parent, that's the whole world just being shattered and broken apart right there. And I think that when there's a loss of a parent, it's that whole world just shifts, and that of course led to I guess is it safe to say a downward spiral that your daughter went through?
Absolutely. It even got to the point where, she was suicidal at one point. And that was really scary. And I know I came at and I just shared all those behaviors. Yet if the title is my self-destructive teen or my teenager self-destructive, what does that mean? I want you to understand exactly what that means, because it's very likely that that could be your teen right now. And that's a real tough spot for a parent to be in, especially a single parent, because you could be the most loving parent there is. You could be taking care of your own stuff like I had to, because I had my stuff too, trust me. Yet it can still happen because there's so much pain in there. And so the question is, what do you do with it? And what's the best way to support your teen so that not only do they survive, but they thrive and they're actually committed to living, it's going to sound like a cliche, but living their best life, because that's what you want for them as a parent. And that's what it was for me. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing my experience, and why I've actually developed this program that I now offer.
Yeah. So let's get into those self-destructive behaviors. So after, after your partner died, so she turned to drugs, suicidal, she slit her wrists. What else was she doing?
Oh, she was getting really bad grades. She just didn't care. It was hard to get her up and out to school, so she would miss a lot of days of school. And when she would go, she would end up actually leaving the school grounds without permission. And I mean, she was just sneaking out at night, and like strange guys would be picking her up in their car. And she was like 15 years old at the time. And it was really, really scary. And then she's meeting up with these people who've got these drugs. And, like for me, like the LSD to me is just, thank goodness it's not cocaine and heroin. I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, it was just for me, that was my daughter using this stuff and messing around with it. And to me, really and scary. And I actually got a call one night because she was trespassing in a gated community, and she was really out of it with these other two kids. So then the law got involved. And that got a little, and that's tough as a parent who, like, at that point, like, I'm a good standing citizen, I'm a professional, I'm loving, and that just didn't go well for me. That was painful.
So it sounds like it was just one thing after another. It wasn't like over a period of time where you were used to it. It was sort of like a rush. Like after your partner died, then whoosh, it was one thing, then one thing, then one thing, then one thing. It was just all coming at you at once.
Well, she was 6 years old when my partner died. So she was very young. So there definitely was a shift. I mean, she changed immediately. My kids lost that lust for life. Like, it just came out of them. My daughter started to put on weight right away. She became irritable more often. She got into more conflict. She had trouble making friends. So there were issues right away you could see that were directly related to the loss. Yet it really blew up, in my opinion, when she hit 14. And like you said, it just seemed a string of events. And this is why I'm saying to parents, like, you can't wait. Like, it's just marijuana. Oh, we're good. Guess what? That's just the beginning. The longer you wait, the less chance you have of getting that teenager back. You've got to be a proactive parent. Like, I was just amazed at how quickly it unfolded and how bad it got. And so that's, like I said, that's part of why I'm so passionate.
Oh, sorry. I guess I thought your partner died when she was a teenager, so it actually started when she was 6. So
Yes.
how are things for you? You said, but it blew up when she was a teenager. So how are things for you between when your daughter was 6 and when she was 14?
We've always had a really great relationship. Yet there was a fallout for me personally, and for her and my son. If I can mention my son too, he was more the kind who's going to sneak out with the car at night. Anyways, for me, it was very, very painful. I went into a deep depression. I finally had to start dealing with my own abuse as a child, which I had kind of suppressed. Not kind of, I did. And then, to get a little salacious, because this is just truth, I had found out a week later that my partner had had an affair for 20 years that we had been together. So there was a lot of anger there, just deep, deep pain. And so my daughter is witnessing this. So it's like, where's my mom? And so I yelled a lot. And I have no shame about it at this point. It is what it is. But I screamed and yelled every day over the littlest things, spill milk or something like this. And so, that's going to be detrimental to your kids over time. it's just as painful if you were going to hit them, if you're just yelling them and you're not patient. They don't know when their mother's going to yell. So she would often go in a room and shut the door when I got that way, and then I'd calm down, or we'd have loving moments. So overall, we had a very great relationship. She could communicate with me. She didn't like that aspect of me, yet we could communicate. But when she hit the teenage years, it's just the pain just bubbled up. It just bubbled up.
When those hormones kicked in, when she hit puberty.
That's the thing. The hormones are kicking in. You are trying to still look for that security with the parent, and you're still also trying to be independent. You're in the middle. You don't know which way to go. And like you said, you're wrestling with those hormones. There's just so much going on. And then, of course, those trapped emotions start to bubble to the surface.
Yeah.
And they have to come out somehow. And it oftentimes comes out in self-destructive behaviors. And I've seen that again and again in teenagers. There's always an origin. No teen is just straight out self-destructive. Doesn't matter where you're from, what environment, it's what you've been through and what you've experienced and what you've been exposed to. It's some level of trauma that is going to cause you to act in this way. You're actually acting upon yourself because the pain is so bad.
Yeah. So tell us how things were for you, because you became a single parent, raising 2 kids on your own. I mean, yeah, we're talking about the teenager, but let's talk about you. You you just became a single parent, raising 2 kids on your own. Tell us what that was like for you.
I mean, it was definitely a change. I had my partner had cancer for 3.5 years, so I was working full time, taking care of the kids and taking care of her. So it was extremely stressful. And when she passed, so that, to be honest, there was just a slight little bit of relief because now I was just taking care of the children. Yet it was an adjustment because I had to come to the realization, okay, had this vision of raising this family together, and now it's just me. Like, I'm a single parent. I'm raising these kids, whether I want to or not, because I did. I'm raising them on my own. And so that was interesting. That was an interesting experience because there was a lot of things that I needed to learn to do as a single parent. I really had to learn to reach out more too, and really access the support of my community and the support of others, because it was a lot to do on my own at that point.
Right. You had to lean on your village, right? As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. So I think you said you turned to your aunts and uncles.
I turned the kids' aunts and uncles. I have a twin sister who was very, very much involved in my kids' life and still is. There are others out there who it's been amazing. We actually had a village of mothers and dads and children, and we just supported each other and helped each other. And I'm telling you, that made such a difference. And I had to learn to not only accept help, but ask for help. Because there were times when I just needed help, like if I was sick or I got injured, like, I'm not getting up to cook dinner if I hurt my ankle. So, and people were just there for me. So in that way, it was a blessing because I learned to reach out and I learned to receive. And that community piece is so important, because I just want to speak to if there's any parent out there, especially a single parent, if you have a teen who's going through it or struggling, or even if you don't, just reach out, ask for help, find a community that you can be a part of, because that can make all the difference in the world, because you need just as much as support as your teen does. You are not going to be able to support your teen in the best way possible unless you yourself are getting the support that you need. And it's not just a community, it's also like, to me, it's someone you have access to who understands your journey, who's had the experience. Maybe they have a degree or maybe they don't, either way, but somehow they have the experience, they have the knowledge, they have the wisdom, and they can guide you through that process so that you and your team and your family come out on the other end successfully, because that's what you ultimately want. You know, you don't have to wait till they grow up and become adults because they might not. You know what I mean? You got to address it now.
Mm-hmm. So before we get into how things turned around for your daughter, if we could talk more about your son. What was happening with your son during this time?
My son, well, when you and my daughter was in a real tough time, is that what you mean?
Yeah, because your daughter's older, right?
Well, my son's older. My son is 22 now, and my daughter's 19. So my son, when he went through his thing, he was bullied actually at school. He wasn't super confident. His grades did drop a little bit, you know, so he struggled with that. You know, he kind of got in a little bit with a kid who was known for selling. I don't think he was selling anything heavy, just marijuana maybe, but so he got into a little bit of trouble, taking the car at night, driving around without a license. Nothing major, in my opinion, because he wasn't drinking or anything. Yet he was rebellious. He was rebellious. So he was dealing with it in his own way. And yet at the time that my daughter was really struggling, he was almost ashamed of her and he wasn't supportive at all. So that was its element. And then when he was about to go into his senior year in high school and my daughter was about to go into her freshman year, I actually moved from Boston, just north of Boston, Massachusetts, to Tampa, Florida. And there were a number of different reasons why I did it. The number one reason is I just couldn't afford as a single parent to live in Boston, Mass, especially during the winter. So I said, you know, I'm struggling here. I was sleeping in the corner of the living room on a mattress and renting out my room. So my son opted to stay behind and he was collecting Social Security. So we used that money for him to stay with a woman who was now an empty nester. She actually had this beautiful, like $1 million home on the ocean. And so I feel like I set him up real nice, but his family wasn't there. At any rate, he finished his senior year in the community that we're living in, and my daughter came with me, and that's when it went real deep. So on the plus side, it was just me and her, so I only had to focus on her at that point. Yet we were in a community that it just got worse because now we moved out. She's trying to make new friends, trying to get to know new people. You know, Tampa, there's just drugs everywhere, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it just got crazy. And like I said, there were a lot of things that I learned to do that I also did to heal myself, that I was doing to heal her, that I think really helped to make the difference. And I was able to only focus on her because of the circumstances, and that was huge for me. That was
So
huge.
it sounds like your daughter had it worse.
Yes. We'll put it this way. I never worried about my son taking his life or losing his life. You know, I was a little bit reckless. My daughter was just completely reckless, out of control, completely self-destructive. It caused me a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of angst, a lot of worry. And it was very stressful, honestly. Very stressful.
Yeah, it's definitely, I can imagine, all that's happening. You lose a parent and then you're moving from one place to another, and it's, she's watching her brother stay behind at home while she has to move around, and it's uh, like changing her friends, and that's a lot for someone to deal with.
Yeah, I didn't realize how rough that move would be because I was trying to get her away from a certain group of friends that I felt were a bad influence on me. I mean, there was many different reasons why I chose to move, and my sister was living in Tampa, and her husband was very, very sick, and I wanted to be there to help her. Except the problem is he ended up dying of cancer as well. And my daughter was very close to him. So she was dealing with that, the move, the death, trying to process trapped emotions from before, new friends, trying to meet new friends. It was just, I think it was just too much all at once.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the the $1 million question. So how did it all turn around?
That is $1 million question. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to break it down in a few simple ways. Number one, I'm going to tell you. I mentioned that community, access a community, both for you as a parent and for your daughter, in any way that you can. Number two, be fully present. Like, you've got to make your teenager your number one priority. It is not your job. It is not money. It's not even your house. I would even say, if you have to move in with somebody, just to be able to be there for your teen as much as possible, whatever it takes. Like, think about, I look at it this way. When my daughter was a newborn, I would not leave her alone. That's how I look at it. When she was going through her most challenging days, I just acted as if, okay, she's that newborn, except now instead of crying, she's like rebelling and showing all these behaviors, yet she's still in pain and she needs me. She's just asking for what she needs in a different way. Maybe it's not just milk or, food or a changed diaper, yet there's still need there. She's needing her parent. She's just asking for it in a different way. So be fully present. Now, I was fortunate enough to be able to borrow money. I put money on credit cards. I stopped everything I was doing. I wasn't working at all anymore. And I borrowed money during this time. And I also put us, more so her, on the public medical system, because I just wanted and needed that support, is what I felt at the time. So I made some changes so that financially we could get through. So like I said, I borrowed a bunch of money, because for me, I'd rather have some outstanding debt and still have my daughter with me than the reverse. So for me, it's being fully present. Like, if you're working, anything can happen. I'm just saying, be fully present in any way you can. Make that your teenager your number one priority. You are a caregiver right now, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Take that little bit of time, get him or her through, and then life is going to be a lot more happier for you. Just trust me. Think of it just like if somebody had an illness, cancer or something, you would be there for them. The other thing for me was to really open up the lines, keep the lines of communication open. Now, what I find oftentimes with teens, when they're struggling, they don't want to talk to a parent, because the parent might try to give them advice, or they might be too embarrassed. They don't, so that's more what it's about. That's what I realized when my daughter came back around. She was embarrassed. That was the primary reason why she wasn't sharing things with me. So I opened up the lines of communication. I'm going to share this with you right now by starting to write letters to her. Loving letters, reminding her how much I loved her, how much I cared for her, how much I wanted a good life for her, that I would be willing to do anything to support her, to help her. I'm here to listen. I reminded her about all her amazing attributes, and I would just slide in under her door. And I wouldn't do it to her, I wouldn't give it to her in front of her, because I wanted to make sure she could save face. And so the first couple of letters, they get ripped up. They'd be tossed in the trash. Yet I knew some level she had read them. I kept writing. By the third letter, I got a response back. I'm just telling you, communication is critically important. And if you're watching this, or you're watching the replay, and you'd like a template on how to write that letter, I got that for you. Communication. I mentioned that. Community, being fully present, keeping those lines of communication open. Here's the last one. It's a real biggie for me. Energy healing. Here's the thing. There's all these programs about mindset empowerment. You just have to be positive. You got to reprogram your subconscious. I say bull crap. When your teen is deep in it, and I know because I've been in that same kind of deep in it pain, hopeless, deep despair, depressed, you don't just get up and write a gratitude list. You don't just get up and start saying all these positive affirmations. It's just not going to work. It's like telling someone who just broke their leg to just walk home and get over it. They need help. And so for me, it was the energy healing, because to me, it's natural, it's non-invasive, it's powerful, because everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. It's simply through intention, which is also energy, that you can actually start to break up and move and to shift that lower vibrational energy, which is associated with depression and anger and frustration and rage and anxiety. And so and then once that kind of moves out, then you create the space in order to open up your team to be able to accept something new into their system. And the energy healing, and I'm an energy healer. I sought out other energy healers that would do remote sessions. She was getting energy healing at least twice a week. And I think that was the biggest shift, because it just kept her in a space where it's like, okay, I could do this. You know, she dip, come back, dip, come back. Yet I believe that right there, it was like psychic surgery. So now, just like the broken leg, she's got a cast. She can start to do her thing, and she can start to heal, and then eventually she would do the physical therapy. Except here, it was a different type of therapy, addressing the thoughts and thought patterns and the emotions associated with that. And that goes. There's a whole other types of therapies that can help with that too. Yet the energy healing, for me personally, was a game changer. I mean, there are so many other little elements and nuances, strategies, tools, and insight. And that's why I put together this 3-month program. But that's it in a nutshell. Those 4 right there: community, being fully present, the energy healing, and keeping those lines of communication open.
Yeah. Can you get into the energy healing a bit more? What is that exactly?
That's a good question. So have you ever heard of Reiki?
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Reiki is probably the most common type of energy healing. To me, it's all the same thing. It's just different names and different protocols. Yet it's an ancient Japanese type of healing. I'm not really sure how to identify that. Essentially, it goes on the basic premise, and most of Eastern medicine goes on this premise that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And yet mainstream science doesn't teach it quite yet in the Western world, although it's starting to come out there more and more. Albert Einstein spoke about it. Thomas Edison spoke about it. Nikola Tesla spoke about it. Everything. It's just that in this physical body, that's makes up about 5%. We think that's all empty space. Yet we answer a cell phone. We're on StreamYard. You're streaming in. We've got laptops here that we're using. We don't question that. There's light energy, right? How does it get from the bulb to you to light up and illuminate the room? You know what I mean? So for a long time, I know personally, I used to think there was nothing in the space there. It's emptiness. Yet there's all kinds of energy and constant motion. It's just that we can't see it. That's why cell phone signals work. That's why cell phone towers work. That's why we get TV signals. That's why we can communicate globally around the world. And that's why the aeronautics program can receive images from rovers, like land rovers that, for example, land on the moon because of energy. And so with that basic premise, everything is connected. So things kind of bump into each other. So there's energy even in our thoughts. It sounds crazy, but there's energy even in our thoughts when we think. There's energy in the body. The Chinese call it qi, life force. It's qi. And so emotions are associated with a more dense energy. It's almost like if you were to make it physical, it would be this little pocket of dense energy that's blocking the life force of the flow of spiritual energy that could be coming from God, the source field, the one infinite creator, whatever you want to call it. And so that energy, it's just sending in waves of energy that kind of break it up and, and get things flowing again. It's almost like you've got a stuck pipe and you send in water to get it flowing again. And if that energy is flowing again, that heaviness that anyone can feel when somebody is depressed starts to go away. And if you feel lighter, like if your team feels lighter, they were depressed, they were anxious, now they're less anxious, now they're less depressed, then they're more motivated to do things that make them feel better. And the more you can move that energy, the better. And the great thing is it gets at the root cause. It's not like you're just putting a Band-Aid on the symptom. You're like, okay, let's move that energy, and then let's share some tools that they can use to make sure that they continue to move forward. So then awareness increases. The awareness increases, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to do this now. So until that energy is moved, doesn't matter how many tools or strategies you throw at somebody, I just don't think it's going to work. I just don't think it's going to work. And that's what I've discovered on my own personal journey, and the journey that when I'm working and mentoring with a number of teams over the years, and with my own daughter. Like, we tried the talk therapy, and I'm not knocking talk therapy, but it didn't work for her. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for our family. It was just, there needed to be something more there for us first. So I'm going to stop there. I don't know if that helps. I know it's kind of out of the realm of some people's experience, and maybe that's why I'm here to share that, because it worked for me and my daughter.
So how is it applied? Like, was it one-on-one counseling? Was it like powder and potions? Like, how is it applied?
It's well, to be honest, it was applied for me with my daughter. It was one-on-one, and oftentimes it would be, she would just, honestly, because she was in such a bad state, we had this thing where if she was feeling self-harming, she would come and lie in the bed with me, and I would just hold her, and that's all I would have to do, is just hold her. That's it. And yet I also had others on the phone. It would be a remote session, and I would serve as the proxy. So they could actually do it at a distance. It's called remote energetic healing. Now, when I just did it for a friend this week who's going through a tough time, and I literally just picture her being on my bed, lying there, and I just move my hands around, and I can feel the energy, and I get messages about what she needs to do so that she can start to feel better. So to me, those messages are coming from God. Those messages are coming from a divine source. That's, I'm just receiving it because I believe it, I trust it, it's a sacred space, and if it's something that's supportive and is good, then I know we're doing good stuff here. And that's always my intention, always my intention. And so there are different ways. There are different ways to do it. That's how I do it. That's how many people do it. And I'm trying to think of a book that might be helpful. There's something called the double slit experiment. There's people like Joe Dispenza, who's a neurologist, who talks about this. He's the big one, Joe Dispenza. But there are a number of people who talk about this, who actually have done the research and have evidence to show the science behind it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's very, very helpful, and it wasn't, you did it along with other things. You didn't just do that by itself. So it was a collection of things that you did for your daughter to turn around, right? So
absolutely.
Right. So let's just go over those again, right? So you kept the line of communication open. You did the Reiki healing.
Yep.
You got your community involved, right? It
Yes.
wasn't just you by yourself.
Yes.
And what was that fourth one?
Being fully present.
Yes, being fully present, right? So the fully present part, I could see that being difficult for working parents. That might be a tough thing for them to hear, is, you actually need to be physically present.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's not always going to be able to happen. And I understand that every situation is different. I mean, if there's absolutely a way to do it, I would highly recommend that as the best way to do it. If not, honestly, and I know one parent who was interested, she was going to be working as a nurse, and she was going to be working in another state, and her teenage daughter is staying with her older sister. She could have her daughter on the program and online with me for those 3 months, and then her mother could do her part, because there's a parent part that's integrated into the program that we offer here as Kick-Ass Happiness. So that's a possibility too. You know what I mean? So, and again, that's another reason I offered that, because at least there's some support there for the teenager. They're not just being left alone all day figuring out what to do. I mean, they may be going to school, they might not be going to school, that might be homeschooled. There are a lot of different ways that it can look. And so that's something that a parent would have to kind of figure out how that might look for them. Maybe they are at work and their child is at school, and then, they're accessing what I'm sharing online, in the group coaching sessions, which includes the energy healing as part of it. So it's very, very tricky. I was very fortunate, yet it was scary for me too. Remember, I'm a single parent, and I had 2 jobs at the time, and I left those jobs right away because I knew if I didn't, I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know. I mean, to see my daughter taken off in an ambulance, and they won't let me on the ambulance. That's a whole nother part. That's all. I'm telling you, I got stories. I'm telling you, I've got such a wealth of experience and information that could really be helpful to parents, and I especially know the system in the States and in Florida more than anything, because that's where we're living at the time. Yeah.
And there's also one thing that we talked about, let them hit rock bottom.
Let them hit rock bottom?
Right, I have that in my notes. One of the
okay. I wouldn't say let them. I'm trying to think when we had that, what we were talking about. I mean, I know my daughter hit rock bottom. She hit a rock bottom, and that's what snapped her out. Like when she had that night, or when she was doing LSD, smoking marijuana, drinking alcohol, all kinds of stuff. And then she came home and she was still under the influence of the LSD, so she wasn't quite fully with it. And she decided to, cut one of her wrists. She ended up needing 14 stitches. That's how much she was bleeding. So she could have died even before then, because she blacked out and she doesn't remember. She blacked out. She forgets most of the night. And then, of course, I took her to the hospital, tried to get help. I told her she was in a tough way. They wouldn't accept me. So, yeah, I had like 5 cruises trying to, it was crazy. It was crazy, Gabrielle. And they turned me away. I said, you're going to regret this. My daughter needs help, and you just turned me away. I don't know what to do. I'm a single parent. And this was a Sunday, no less. Courts are closed. Everything's closed, except for the hospital. Anyways, I take her home, and that's when she cut herself. They take her away, and she was hospitalized for 5 days. And she just said, after that, she was like, that was a huge wake-up call. I'm not saying she was completely out of the woods at that point. She still needed a lot of support. But it was a wake-up call for her, because she could have lost her life very easily. It was scary for her. It was scary for me. That was her rock bottom.
Yeah, I think it was that parents tend to be like overprotective, and they try to get overly involved and don't do this, don't do that, and but there comes a point where they have to experience the consequences of their actions.
Yeah, there may be something to that. I know, for example, it got to a point where this is where I was feeling more confident with my daughter. Like, I knew she was just like bluffing. Like, she just had this habit of cutting herself. Like, she would just make cuts on her thighs, and I didn't like it. And and she went in a room. Something happened She shut the door. She wouldn't open it. I said, you know what? I am not going to force you to open it. You know what you're doing. You know I love you. You know I want the best for you. I'm here to help you and support you. And if you really want to harm yourself, I'm not going to be able to stop you. I don't want you to do that. It's very hurtful to think that you would want to do that. I said, but I there's nothing I could really do. I said, you know what you can do to manage yourself right now. You know that you have the tools. That's up to you. And guess what? She didn't. It really was very sobering for her. But I had to kind of feel that one out because she was trying to suck me into her drama, and she was trying to. I can't really explain the situation. I forget exactly how it unfolded, but it was like a power struggle that she was trying to set up, and I'm like, no, and I really didn't. It was just. I didn't think she was going to cut herself, but, get the shit, she would find something sharp.
Yeah.
Although I was really good about locking all that stuff up, and then she would just cut her legs.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it that time. He didn't have anything fresh because she was just trying to get my attention at that point.
I mean, it definitely sounded like a cry for help from your daughter.
Yeah, you mean when she was cutting herself? When she was cutting herself, you mean?
Yeah. I'm cry for help.
Oh, absolutely no. That was no. When she was into the heavy cutting, that was definitely a cry for help. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there was a different response. At this point, she was not cutting.
Yeah.
So,
it's sorry, go ahead.
Now, like I said, it's hard to exactly explain the situation because it might seem like not responding to a need that she has. You have to be in the situation and kind of get a feel for it because 100%, I wouldn't want her to hurt herself. You know what I mean? 100%. That's not what I would want.
Yeah.
And she knew that.
Of course, you didn't want her to do it. Yeah.
And that was, and that was one of the saving graces is that she said, Ma, she goes, I wouldn't kill myself because it would bring you too much pain. Because I would never do it. And so that there was only the concern was, what if she was being reckless and something accidental happened? With her behaviors, all the behaviors she was exhibiting. Going in a stranger's car. Anyway.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think the important thing.
All right, I know it's we're getting into the nitty gritty of it all, but we got to start the point.
Yeah, I think parents, what they really want real viable solutions. Whether even if it's just passive aggressiveness, rebellion, skipping school, talking back, not communicating, locking themselves in their room, sitting in the room, for all hours of the day. Maybe they're doing some self-harming. They really, really want to know that there are things that they can do right now to get more control of the situation, because that's what it was for me. It was like, I felt like I had no control. Like, I can't, you can't really control a teenage child. They're not this little kid that you can just pick up and throw in the car. You just have to come at it a little bit differently. And it's not yelling and screaming. There's just a different way to go about it. Because like you said, all those behaviors are essentially your teen crying out for help. The question is how you go about finding the kind of help that they need to get them where they need to go. Because I'm going to tell you, it wasn't the school. And I was a school teacher for like 25 years. I worked for DYS, DSS, you name it. I've been in and around it. And I was talking to school council, school administration, school staff. We were meeting with a therapist, and it was just, they were overwhelmed. It's not because they didn't care and they didn't want to help. They were just too overwhelmed with the amount of teens who needed help and needed support. And that's where I believe that the schools should have extra, not, have extra staff. They should have fewer kids in a classroom because these teachers are overworked and they need support. The administration needs support so that they can do what they need to do, because the majority of teachers that from my observation, have beautiful hearts and they want to do everything that they can to help their students. Yet if you've got 40 kids in a class and you've got a bunch of kids acting up and you've got a kid over there in the corner, maybe more than one, it's just, they're going to slip through the cracks. They're going to slip through the cracks, unfortunately. And so that's why I'm here. I've got a private Facebook group, Support Your Teen's Happiness, where I go live every week and I share posts. I just did an event, the 5-day Turn Around Your Teen event. I got the 5 steps in 5 days with all kinds of information tools that you can implement right away to support your teen. I've got templates, I've got blueprints, and of course, I've got this online academy where we're coaching with the parent, we're coaching with the teen. There's a community there, there's accountability, there's just a sense of belongingness, and there are tools and strategies and insight and wisdom and knowledge that I would even call it a modern mystery school, because it's a little bit different than what you're going to find in the mainstream. You've got, in my opinion, you've got to find something that's going to work. And this is how it worked for me, because the mainstream method, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for a lot of the teens I was working with, and it definitely didn't work with my daughter. So that's why I developed my own program. Just like you've got your own program, your tutoring. You realize, that the state is not going to give you enough money. The public, New York public schools are not going to give you enough money. So why don't you come up with your own program so you can really service those kids in needs? That's the way I look at it. I'm kind of like that mental health tutor. I'm like a mental health tutor. I'm gonna supplement. I may not necessarily replace, but I'm going to definitely supplement. Maybe I'm going to replace what you've got going on with your team right now. So I'm showing up where I see a need, just like you. And I want to, and because if I don't, how many teen lives are we going to miss out on if I don't show up? And that's why I'm so passionate and I'm so driven, because these teens are our future. They're our future. So we need to help them heal and to transform so they can go out in the world and be productive citizens and just enjoy living their life so they can help others enjoy living their life, because that's ultimately what's going to uplift humanity, in my opinion. So I feel very strongly about that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we are going to end right there. And Hayes, thank you so much for joining me today. So now let's, time is going. I want to make sure we get all your promos. So let's do this. All right, you guys. So Anne Hayes, she is all over the web, you guys. A website where you can learn about her services. It is kickasshappiness.com. Ness with 2 S's. Right. Okay, so kickasshappiness.com. So you could check out her website and learn about her services. She has the workshop, right? Tell us about your business.
So, well, I have an online academy. That's a Jumpstart Transformation program for 90 days. Then there's the Wrap to Lead, which goes for a year. I also do energy healing, remote energetic healing sessions. And then the active assistance call is actually free. So you can call and I'll give you like at least 2 to 3 coaching points right on the spot if you're having a particular tense situation with your team, we can go ahead and do that. And I've got powerful, positive, motivational messages on SoundCloud that you can listen to, your team can listen to, just to put something out there besides, you know, that mumble rap and the other stuff that they have out there that is not necessarily uplifting, because it's how we feeding the minds. And like I said, I've got that Facebook group. It's a private parent Facebook group on Facebook. Support your team's happiness. I've got a blog. You go to kickasshappiness.com. You will find it all.
All right, there you have it, you guys. Kickasshappiness.com. Get all that information. I encourage you to go to her website. You can also follow her on social media. She is on Facebook, like she said. She actually has two Facebook pages. So
Yes.
one is Kick Ass Happiness, and the other one is Mama G Rhymes. Tell us about your other project.
Well, I'm going to do this real quick because I'm looking at the time here. I was working for the Department of Youth Services, you know, for a period of time in metropolitan Boston area. And I had a 14-year-old youth of color who I was working with at the time, who ended up graduating the program. Anyways, amazing young human being, went back to the streets selling drugs again. He got shot and killed. So he actually came to me in a vision after my partner died and just said, laid it out. This is what you're here to do. This is what you're supposed to do. This is why you're supposed to do it. That includes the music that you used to write. That includes the music that the poetry you used to write on it. So I said, okay. And immediately right away, I was writing hip hop poetry again. Then I was directed towards certain beats and I was writing songs. And now it's kind of 8 years later, it's morphed into what I call transformational music or motivational messages over like smooth, chill kind of trap beats. So very smooth. So it's uplifting and actually healing. So that's what my SoundCloud is about. There's actually a song, Beyond the Veil, that we co-write everything. It's going to sound crazy, but that's just what it is. It's real. He helps me to write my music. His name is Everett Barnes. He's out of Dorchester, Massachusetts. Of course, he's not alive anymore, but he's still alive in my mind, very much alive. And so, yeah, Beyond the Veil. I'm working on this side of it, and he's working on the other side of it. And together we're helping to hopefully, what he says, make body bags with body tags in the streets a thing of the past.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome things that you're doing. All right. So I encourage you guys to, check out both of her Facebook pages. We may go into overtime a little bit, but and if you have to go, feel free to go if you have to. Just want to make sure we get all this in. All right. So Kick-Ass Happiness, Mama G Rhymes. Check out those Facebook pages. She's also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. Kick-Ass Happiness with 2 S's. And of course, as she said, she's also on SoundCloud, Mama G Rhymes. So I encourage you guys to follow her on all social media. All this information is in the on video. You're listening to this on audio. Don't worry, you guys. It is all in the description. It is at your fingertips. All right, I just want to make sure that we get these in as well. You also have a replay of a 5-day turnaround for your teen events that is on the web right now. So it is bit.ly/turnaround your teen event. So I encourage you guys to check that out as well. You also have a free case study video that you've put out there on the web as well. So it's bit.ly/turnaround your teen. So you got a lot of information going out there. And you have your free active assistance call. So that is a Calendly, right? So people can go to your online calendar and they can schedule your free active assistance call. So it's calendly.com/kickasshappiness/active assistance call. So, you can, that's our online calendar. So you can go ahead and book on that website. And if you've missed any of this, don't worry, you guys. All of this will be provided to you in the description. So, however you access this information, it is at your fingertips, you guys. All right, so there's a couple of videos. I want to make sure that we get it in. I know time is going. So this one is about the 15-second one. Okay, so I'm just gonna play those. So let me just play those real quick.
Mutilation, rape, atrocity. When are we gonna do something? Heck, I think it's time to take on the beast. So drop me a beat. I'm on my knees once again, asking please once again.
All right, that was a quick clip of your sweet rhymes right there. Okay, and let me just get this other one.
You know what? And you could just do a short clip of that one, just be given the time.
Yeah.
You don't have to play the whole thing.
All right, we'll do it briefly. Okay.
Yeah, whatever feels right for you.
Okay.
Let's do a little freestyle on the beat with yours truly, Mama G, cause I can come so easily, eloquently, melodically, and methodically. You see, cause I come in like thunder, under the presence of my own presence, with the essence of the G-O-D as in divinity. See, that's the energy. I might as well be a D-O-G. Same thing, just a different degree. And so, let me continue to flow from these here teeth between my...
We'll do that little brief thing there. Okay. All right. So, whew, was a lot. All right. So, Anne, thank you so much for joining me today. We got to play some of your sweet rhymes. So, I encourage you guys to listen to her music and download her music as well as support her her other teen services. So, Anne, I know we're over time, but thank you so much for joining me today. This was a very enlightening conversation.
It was great to be here. Thank you.
All right. So, go if you have to run, go ahead. Um, I'm gonna place you off camera now. And you guys, it is just you and me. We're going over time, but that is okay. Just want to make sure that we get all of this in. All right. So it is closing time. So, you guys, we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, please check out our other episodes and don't forget to follow and subscribe. And while you're at it, please let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below or in the comment thread, or just you can reach out to us, send us a DM, email us at success@astepaheadtutoringservices.com. So however you want to let us know your feedback, please do so. We definitely will appreciate your feedback. And as a reminder, this podcast is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you would like to learn more about our company, the services that we have to offer, if you're looking for a tutor for yourself or for your child, please reach out to us. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. We are also all over social media as well. You could, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Eventbrite, WhatsApp, and YouTube. So please follow us on all social media and go to our website. It is again www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. I also encourage you, we have a hot topics text list or texting list. I don't know what the word is, but we have a text list just for hot topics. We will let you know when the episodes are coming out, and we'll also let you know about our upcoming live episodes, and then maybe any special coupons you might get for listening to our episodes. So I encourage you to sign up for our text list. All you have to do is text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. I'm going to repeat that again. Just text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. So I encourage you to join our texting list, text that code, and just stay in touch with Hot Topics. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make sure we get this final message before we officially close out.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider making a donation to our company. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed. Offer free and low-cost services, put on productions like this podcast, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. Send your donation by Cash App to $ASATS 2013, by PayPal or Venmo to @ASATS 2013, or by Zelle to success@astepAheadTutoringServices.com. For our Facebook Live viewers, you can also send us a star. Your support means a lot to us. Please note, we're a for-profit company. We're not a charity. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
All right, you guys, and that is it for our episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. And that is it. All right, you guys, now I'm signing off. Bye.